To build on this, General Karen Gibson of Academy writing, the fact that both sides are making demands they know the other won't accept is a depressing indication of how far apart we are in terms of concessions. General Gibson joins us now for more. General, welcome to the programme. I want to start with that very serious Financial Times piece. From your standpoint, your awareness, your experience, what kind of capability do the Iranians have to reach these bases in Europe?
Yes, certainly. So I think first it's important to scope which bases in Europe. As you've indicated, Cyprus is a very likely choice. It would almost certainly, I think, be some kind of base or nation in Europe that is providing access or basing for U.S. forces in much the same way that Iran has attacked Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, other regional nations that are hosting U.S. forces. In terms of capability, if we're looking at Cyprus, it is feasible for missiles from Iran to go as far as Cyprus. When you start extending that far, say 1,000 kilometers, you do begin to lose accuracy, and that's a problem. They could fire at Cyprus with drones that were launched closer from some kind of proxy, whether that was in Syria, in Lebanon, even in Iraq, and then potentially even sabotage of some kind of sleeper cell or operatives that are closer to Cyprus. But I think that's primarily what we would be looking at is potentially missiles, drones, also potentially sabotage.
General, there's one line that jumps out to me, and it's that Iran's retaliation would depend on Washington's action, according to the insiders. How real and tangible is this threat, or is this just the Iranians using the press as a negotiating tool?
Well, I think both are quite feasible. One, I think the threat of launching some kind of attack against a European state that is hosting or enabling U.S. military capabilities that are being used against Iran is a threat in case the United States escalates. I think it's using these kinds of leaks or communication as a warning of this is what could happen should the U.S. grow tired of this sort of economic standoff and return to more kinetic strikes. In much the same way that in this last round of strikes, they exhibited an ability to use proxies to expand against broader oil infrastructure, whether that was in the Red Sea or in Egypt. I think they're also saying, look, we could go even further and we could go to European bases that are hosting your forces, should you choose to return to an escalatory kinetic path.
Where do you see the conflict right now? The president says the Strait of Hormuz is open. It's been demined. We just had reporting that 3 Chinese tankers, obviously the Chinese are the ones that are buying Iranian crude, had to make a U-turn.
Yes. Well, as we've talked about before, Anne-Marie, the president can say it's open. Iran can say it's closed. But what really determines, in many cases, traffic through the straits is those decisions by commercial entities, shipping companies and the firms that insure them who decide that the potential for profit is worth the perceived risk of sailing through. And they're the ones that are making these calls to, in this case, do a U-turn based on this very high perception of risk. And I can't say that they're necessarily wrong in making that call. But again, it doesn't come down to what the president says as to whether or not the straits are open for business.
General, well said. It's good to get the update from you. Thank you. General Karen Gibson there.